Students, whatever homework is given to you, you have to submit it on the very next day between 8 am to 1 pm to the given WhatsApp number, and it is compulsory to submit your homework as your attendance will be marked on the basis of your submission.
Dear students, myself R.S. Goswami from KGK Higher Secondary School. Today I am going to teach economics of standard 11th. Now chapter number 2, fundamental concepts and terminologies, and our topic is factors of production. Now in our day-to-day life we consume so many goods and services. So, how do we produce goods and services? With the help of factors of production. So, there are 4 types of factors of production: land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. Among them, 2 are natural factors of production and 2 are man-made factors of production. In natural, land and labor, and man-made, capital and entrepreneur. Now, one by one, we see the meaning and characteristics of factors of production. Now, the first one is the land. So, what is land? Normally, we say the upper layer of the earth is called land. Upper layer of the earth is called land. But in economics, the meaning of the land is wide. Here, whatever we get from the nature and use in the production process is known as land. Normally, upper layer of the earth is called land. But in economics, whatever we get directly from the nature and use in the production process are known as land. For example, forest are natural resources. So, forest is called land. Then, river, mountain, different kind of minerals, interior part of the earth, all these things we include in the land, because all these things we can use in the production process. Suppose the forest in the construction work, then making the furniture, then the river, the water of the river used in the agriculture. Same way, different kind of minerals we use in the industries. So whatever we get directly from the nature, we include in land. Now, characteristics of the land. First is the gift of nature, not man-made. We can't make the land. It is the gift of nature, gift of God. You can't create. Otherwise, there are so many countries in the world where is the scarcity of land, but they can't create the land, because the land is the gift of nature, not man-made. Second one, supply is fixed. That means supply of land is fixed, limited. You can't increase the total supply of land. Obviously, individual supply of land increase, but the total supply of land we can't increase. Suppose the total supply of land is 1000 hectares. Suppose person A has 25 hectares, but he purchased 10 hectares. So the individual land increase, but the total can't increase. So here the supply of land is fixed. Third, geographically immobile. Now one thing remember, what is mobility? Mobility means to transfer the goods from one place to another place is known as mobility. So, two types of mobility. One is geographically, second is the occupational. The land, geographically mobility is zero. You can't transfer the land from one place to another place. Suppose your house is in the Kubernagar, where the price of the house is less. But suppose your house is on the CG road or SG highway, there the price of the house is very high. But you can't transfer your house of Kubernagar to CG road. Suppose same way, agriculture land. Suppose agriculture land in the villages. You can't transfer that land in the city. So here the mobility of the land geographically is zero, but occupationally possible. You can change the occupation. Suppose your shop on CG road, their jewelry shop, but you want to change your business, your occupation. Easily you can change. You can start there clothing, then sports, anything you can start. That means you can change the occupation. So occupationally there is possible mobility of land, but geographically it is not possible, and that's why geographically immobile. After that, different in fertility. Suppose in the city, the prices of the land decided according to the area, but in the villages, how we decide the price of land? According to the fertility of the land. Some land very high fertility, some medium fertility, and some very less. So according to the fertility, the price of the land of agriculture decide. In some land, the crops growing very good, some less, and some we can't get the crops in land. So different land have different fertility. After that, remuneration of land is called rent. That means, suppose you have a house and gives on rent. So whatever you get, monetary benefit, that monetary benefit is known as land. Same way, you have 3 or 4 shop, or you give on rent. So after the month, you will get the monetary benefit. So that monetary benefit is known as rent. So these are the characteristics of land. After that, second one, labor. What is the meaning of labor? In everyday life, all the people working economic activity or non-economic activity, but it is compulsory to do anything. Some people working mentally, some people working physically, and some people mentally and physically both. So in the definition of labor, a person who does mentally work or physically work or mentally and physically both and get monetary return, that is known as labor. Again, some people work mentally, some people work physically, and some people work mentally and physically both, because to get the remuneration, to get the monetary benefits. So once again, labor means a person who does mental work or physical work or both and get monetary return is known as labor. Just like the teacher, doctor, lawyer, CA, they work mentally. Suppose some labor on the road, they working. Then the mason to construct the building, they work physically. But manager, entrepreneur, they work mentally and physically both. Supervisor. So a person who does mental work or physical work or both type of the work and get monetary benefit, that is known as labor. Now, characteristics of the labor. Labor cannot be separated from laborer. Now, here see, land and landlord. The owner of the land is known as landlord. Here both are different. Land is different and landlord is different. You can easily separate it to them. But here, labor and laborer can't be separate. So one thing you remember, you can't separate laborer from labor. Second one, it cannot be stored. This is the main characteristics of labor. The land you can store, you can use in future, but labor cannot be stored. Suppose youngsters at the age of 20 to 50, if they try to save every day 1 hour and use that stored hour in future, is it possible? No. You can't save the labor. Today we have done the work, and if our work is pending, then the same time or same thing you can't use in the future. So here, labor cannot be stored. Third one, labor is the mobile factor of production. Labor you can transfer from one place to another place easily. But there are some factors, social factors, economical factors are there, which affect the mobility of labor. Suppose a person who has only a son, who is working in Ahmedabad and his salary 50,000. The company offer him, if you go Bombay, then we will pay you 1 lakh rupees per month. But he has only son. So because of social problem, that person is not ready to go Bombay. So this way, this factor affect the mobility of labor. But the other person who is working in Ahmedabad, salary 30,000, and the company is ready to give him 50,000. But the social problem is not there, then he is easily ready to transfer from one place to another place. So here, the mobility of the labor depend on some factors, and those factors are social factor, economical factors, religious factors. So this way, suppose a company transfer you in Kashmir, where the problem of terrorism is there. So some are ready to go and some are not ready to go. Depend on you. So these are the factors which affect the mobility of labor. After that, the efficiency of the labor is different. Just you know, some workers efficiency very high, some medium, and some have low efficiency. So here, some are expert, some working well, but some very less. So this way, the efficiency of the labor is different, and that's why in the private sector, the person whose efficiency is high gets more wages, and whose efficiency is less get less wages. But in the government, it is not possible. In the government, all have equal wages. Either your efficiency good or bad. In a teaching line, just you see, some teachers are expert, teaching very good, but some are not teaching well. So in this condition, but the government pay the wages equal. But in the private sector, according to efficiency, they are ready to pay the wages. Here, so the efficiency of the labor is different. Then supply depend on population. supply of labor depend on population. If the population is more, supply of labor is more. Population is less, supply of labor is less. Just a country like India and China, where the population is very high, and because of that, the labor market is good in India and China. But other side, Canada, America, Russia, where the growth of population is less, and because of that, where the supply of labor is also less. And that's why from the many countries of the world, people go there for the work, because in those countries the supply of labor is less and demand of labor is high. But in India and China, supply of labor is more, but the demand is less, and that's why there is the problem of unemployment. So here, supply of labor depends on population. And next one, the remuneration of labor is called wages. So whatever the labor get, the benefit in monetary terms is called wages. Thank you.